The clock ticked closer to midnight. And the city outside whispered like a living dream. Lights flickered in distant apartments, cars hummed in the distance. And somewhere in that vast world of noise and glow sat a young man staring at the ceiling, afraid to close his eyes. It wasn't because of fear, it was because he had learned that time never waits. He had seen how one blink could change everything, how a single second could turn laughter into silence, love into memory, and presence into loss. So he stayed awake, staring at the clock, whispering to himself, "Don't blink after midnight." Because the world feels different when you truly see it. Midnight wasn't just another hour for him, it was the space between what was and what could be. The second hand slowed. Or maybe it only felt that way. Or he thought of all the people who went to bed angry, who didn't say sorry, who never said "I love you" loud enough when they had the chance. He remembered how quickly everything changes, how one heartbeat separates life from memory. That's why he stayed awake. To feel. To breathe. To exist fully in the fragile beauty of right now. He used to live life rushing, chasing deadlines, checking phones, racing through days that blurred into one another. But then one night, he lost someone before he could say goodbye. Since that night, midnight became sacred. It was the hour when he promised himself to pause, to stop the world in his mind. And to whisper a silent thank you to the universe for another day, another breath, another chance to feel alive. Outside, rain began to fall softly against the window. And the air carried the scent of earth and quietness. He thought about all the people sleeping, unaware of how precious this silence was. Somewhere, a streetlight flickered like a heartbeat. And he smiled faintly. "Don't blink after midnight," he whispered again. Because when you stay still enough, when you listen deeply enough, you realize how alive everything truly is. He picked up a photo from the desk. It was old, edges worn, colors fading. His best friend's smile stared back, frozen in a moment that would never happen again. He ran his thumb over it gently. And for the first time in years, he didn't cry. He smiled. Because even though the moment was gone, it was still his. Memories don't die, they just wait quietly in the corners of your soul until you're brave enough to remember them without breaking. The rain grew louder. As if the sky itself was speaking. He thought of all the people who spend their lives waiting for the right time, the right feeling, the right opportunity. But what if midnight was the right time? What if now was the only moment that ever truly belonged to us? Maybe that's what "don't blink after midnight" really meant, not about staying awake, but about staying present. He looked at the window and saw his reflection, tired, yes, but alive. Behind his eyes was something he hadn't seen in years: peace. Because he had finally learned that living isn't about how long you stay alive, but how deeply you feel the seconds that you do. Every tear, every laugh, every goodbye is proof that you were here, that you mattered, that you loved. He remembered the last words his friend said before leaving this world: "Promise me you'll keep your eyes open to the beauty that hides in the quiet moments." That promise became his ritual. Every night, he'd sit in silence and remind himself to really see, the life he'd been given. Not through screens, not through noise, but through stillness. As the night deepened, he thought about the people who never stopped to feel time passing. People who say tomorrow as if it's guaranteed. But he knew better. Life doesn't owe you a single second, it only gives you chances, disguised as moments you're too distracted to notice. That's why he stayed awake, to witness the seconds most people waste. The rain slowed. And through the faint mist, he saw the moon break through the clouds. It glowed silver and soft, bathing everything in quiet light. He took a deep breath, feeling it fill every corner of his chest. And he realized that peace isn't something you find, it's something you allow. It happens when you stop running, stop wanting, and start being. Somewhere far away, church bells rang softly, 12 echoes for 12 chances to begin again. Midnight wasn't the end of the day, it was the rebirth of time. Every tick of the clock whispered, "You're still here." And that was enough. Enough to forgive. Enough to heal. Enough to keep living, even when it hurt. He leaned back in his chair, eyes glistening with something between sadness and gratitude. He whispered to himself, "If tomorrow never comes, at least tonight I truly lived." The words felt like wings, lifting the weight of every regret off his shoulders. The world was quiet again. But it didn't feel empty anymore, it felt alive, breathing in rhythm with his heart. He thought about all the people he wished could hear him now, the ones who gave up too soon, the ones who forgot that storms end, that pain changes shape, that love doesn't vanish, it transforms. He wanted to tell them, don't blink after midnight. Because healing happens in those tiny, silent moments when you decide to stay. As the clock ticked past midnight, he noticed how every sound had its own music, the hum of the city, the soft patter of rain, even his heartbeat became a song. He realized that life was never silent, it was just waiting for him to listen. He stood up, opened the window, and let the cold air rush in. It smelled like new beginnings. He stretched his hand out into the rain, feeling each drop like a small reminder, you're still here, still breathing, still capable of feeling it all. That's what made it beautiful, the fragility of existence, the honesty of pain, the miracle of another second. He smiled as the wind brushed past him. Don't blink after midnight, he said again, but now it wasn't a warning. It was a prayer, a promise to never sleepwalk through life again. Midnight wasn't scary anymore. It was sacred. In the quiet glow of the moon, he finally closed his eyes, not in fear, but in peace. Because he knew that when he opened them again, the world would still be waiting, full of second chances disguised as ordinary mornings. The night exhaled softly, as if it, too, was relieved. Somewhere in the distance, a new day began to rise, painting the sky in pale gold. He smiled one last time, whispering to the dawn, I didn't blink. And maybe, just maybe, that's what living really means, not racing through time, but holding it in your heart long enough to feel it change you. Don't blink after midnight, because that's when the soul learns how to see. Sometimes in life, everything feels like it's falling apart. You wake up, and the world feels heavier than it did yesterday. You try to smile, but your heart feels too tired to even pretend. Yet somewhere deep inside, there's a tiny spark that refuses to die, a voice that whispers, you've made it this far, you can't give up now. That voice is your soul reminding you that pain is temporary, but strength is forever. Every person you admire once walked through the storm you're scared of. They cried. They broke. They doubted themselves. But the difference is, they didn't stop. They took one more step when their feet trembled, they believed when belief hurt. And that's what made them who they are. So don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. Your story is still unfolding. And maybe the best part hasn't even been written yet. Sometimes, you won't get applause. You'll do your best. And people won't notice. You'll care. And they'll forget. But that's where real growth happens, when you keep going, not for praise, not for attention, but for peace. Because peace is the reward of those who stay true to their purpose even when no one's watching. The world is loud, full of noise, opinions, and fake perfection. But your journey doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be real. Silence can be power when it's filled with progress. Remember, trees grow silently. But they become forests. Stars shine quietly. But they light up the universe. You don't have to rush. Life is not a race, it's a rhythm. Sometimes, slowing down is not failure, it's wisdom. When you breathe, reflect, and heal, you come back stronger, clearer, and more alive. There will be people who won't understand your fire. They'll say you've changed. But you didn't change, you grew. You became what you were meant to be. Growth looks like change to those who choose to stay the same. You'll lose people along the way. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to walk your full journey. Some come to teach you lessons, some to test your strength. And some just to remind you what love truly feels like before leaving. But what's meant for you will always find its way back, stronger and clearer than before. When you start loving yourself, the world starts changing around you. It's not magic, it's energy. You attract what you believe you deserve. So believe you deserve peace, kindness, and love. Every sunrise gives you a new chance, not to be perfect, and to begin again. You don't need a perfect start. You just need courage to start imperfectly. Because courage builds bridges where fear builds walls. You've survived things that once made you believe you couldn't go on. That's your proof. You are stronger than the things that tried to break you. Every scar is not a sign of damage, it's a sign of survival, of resilience, of a warrior who refuses to quit. Sometimes your dreams will scare you. That's how you know they're real. If your dream doesn't make your heart race, it's not big enough. Don't let fear kill your potential. Fear is just excitement in disguise. The journey won't always be beautiful. Some days you'll feel lost. But remember, even the stars need darkness to shine. Your pain will shape your strength, your tears will cleanse your soul. And your courage will rewrite your destiny. There's power in kindness. In a world that often values success over humanity, being kind is a silent form of rebellion. You never know how deeply a small act of love can heal someone else's invisible wound. Forgive yourself for the times you didn't know better. You were learning. You were growing. You did your best with the knowledge you had. Self-forgiveness is the first step to freedom. Your story might not make sense right now. But one day, every broken piece will fit perfectly. You'll look back and realize that the pain was not punishment, it was preparation. Don't let others define you. You are not their opinions, not their expectations, not their labels. You are your choices, your dreams, your actions. You are enough, even when the world makes you feel otherwise. There's beauty in the waiting. Not every delay is denial. Sometimes, life makes you wait because it's building something bigger than what you asked for. Trust the timing, it's never wrong. Hourglass not done. Be proud of yourself for how far you've come. Even if you're not where you want to be yet, you're still closer than yesterday. Growth is not loud, it's silent progress, one step at a time. And finally, never forget, you are the story the world needs. Somewhere, someone will be inspired because you didn't give up. That's your real legacy, not what you achieve, but who you become while rising.